I'm glad that you can enjoy the heavy storm tonight right here on the worldwide station Legend 107 that is also broadcasted over in Stockholm, Sweden on the MRS Radio Network. Right now, I'm privileged to have as my guest, and for you old schoolers, which I don't want to make everybody sound old, but you ought to know who this group is. Formed in the early '80s, and they had hits of "Sweat," "I Won't Let Go," "You Are in My System," and that one that we all know so dear, "Don't Disturb This Groove." And I have on the line David Frank and Mike Murphy of the System. How you guys doing tonight?
Oh, we're doing great. How about you?
Oh, I'm doing great, man. I'm just overthrilled. I'm overjoyed to have you guys here on the Heavy Storm Show.
Well, we're happy. We're glad to be here.
Okay. Well, I'm going to start with David. You guys pretty much got together in the early 80s. Were, extensions of other groups. Now we're in 2013. How have you guys continued to sustain in the music business today?
Well, I mean, we worked together for a long time, but just by writing. You say sustain?
You're right.
Yeah. It's all just really about the love of music. I mean, I just keep playing. I've actually, when Mike and I have been probably out of that time. We've been working together probably about half of that time, which is a huge amount. And then the rest of the time, I was songwriting sessions and producing and things like that too. So, and I've had some luck with that. So it's been, it's been great. I'm just continuing to explore new electronically oriented musical worlds.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to extend that question over to Mike. Now that you're in the year of 2013, where do you see the group, the System, going in this new age of music?
Well, I don't particularly see it as a new age of music. I mean, the thing that's always been pervasive in music since the beginning of time is just the medium by which it's, been transmitted, and doesn't happen in tiny baby steps. It's like big, giant leaps and bounds. And we've been fortunate. When we came on the scene making music, all the bands, particularly in R&B, were like 13-piece bands, with horns, drums, bass, guitar. They were bigger bands, particularly in the genre that we were in, where they were singing. So we kind of changed all of that, in particular in the genre we were thrusting, which is really a combination of R&B and modern pop.
Right.
So, if we fast forward 30 years, I mean, here we are. It's taken basically 30 years for the medium to change from, everybody was kind of complaining that, we weren't using live drummers and we weren't a real band, and, that was kind of the word. But now it's become so accepted to, basically go in the studio as a one-man band or a two-man band and create, giant pieces of music. And that's over the course of 30 years. So, we've been able to bridge the gap from the 80s to now and still come back with music that's contemporary and that's using techniques that we were aware of even in the 80s. The thing that's changed is the way that you get your music out to the people. Went from vinyl to the CDs. I mean, CDs are kind of there, but not really. So many people aren't using CDs so much. And who knows what's going to happen in the next, over the next 10 years.
Well, the other thing, if I could just say one other thing about it is that it's also the way that you actually record this change. Actually, what we were doing back in the 80s was basically the same music and same kind of electronic music and manipulation, but the way it's it's recorded now is into a computer rather than on tape. So Mike's right. It's like it's really just almost like medium that's changed, and the music is still very similar in a lot of ways. Why in a lot of the reviews we've got that it just sounds kind of like the system, has a direct relationship to their sound from the '80s, but it just sounds modern, and it's kind of always sounded kind of ahead of its time. So it's still doing it.
Yeah, it's funny because, you get, predominantly you kind of get an impression that, it's old school. It's only called old school because we came out of the 80s. Like, the music we were doing in the 80s really was the music for the 2000s, to be real. No, it really was.
And our record company, Melvin, our record company used to complain, you guys are too ahead of your time.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's like we have these conversations. Like we made a record. We made System Overload, and to me, all that was we're dusting off the machinery to get ready to really make some music.
Right.
People think like, wow, it's task to create it, and although it took a little while to do it, it was really a feeling of, what can we get away with? Let's dust up the machinery. I mean, I got the next two albums ready, Dave. I didn't do that yet.
Right.
So it was really, the format has changed a little bit. We have to reacquaint ourselves with people, and we have to kind of get over all the isms, because, isms have always existed, ageism, racism. We've always been a biracial duo. That hasn't changed.
Right.
That hasn't changed, And at the time that we started making music, for many people, we were too young.
Right.
Most of the people in the genre of music that we were being accepted, it was like the changing of the guard, really, when we came in.
Right.
Old school records in the trunk, drive to the radio station. It was kind of the end of that era. So here we are again on the era, and we're ready to keep going forward.
Okay. All right. Well, let's fast forward to 2013. You guys do have a project out, System Overload, and why don't you guys just go ahead and talk about that for those who are not familiar with this project?
Dave? Yeah. Okay. So System Overload is our new album, and basically we just decided to record a new album, and we started out actually with the song System Overload, and it's basically it's a track. We were kind of like going, okay, well, we want to come out with some things that are somewhat familiar sounding to people, but it's not even really that. It's really just the music that's on System Overload is just what we naturally do.
Right.
It's just kind of like comes out of my fingers, and I think of and out of Mike's brain, comes the lyrics. It's just it's just a project. It's been a labor of love to do it. I'm constantly writing musical tracks. It's kind of just like what I do. I wake up in the middle of the night. I wake up in the morning. I'm just always writing music tracks, and I send little pieces of them to Mike, and he write song ideas that take those musical pieces and lead them even in other directions. I mean, there's so many different songs. Like there's one song on the album that called The Toast, and it actually started out being a song called New Car Feeling, and it just went completely like in another direction. Right? It's like, well, we need to have a different chorus for another. So I sent him another musical chorus part that just went in another direction, for example. So it's kind of like what Mike said. It's just like we like sort of like dusted ourselves off a little bit and just went like back to doing it, and it just was just worked again, just like it did then.
I mean, this album is hot. For those of you that are not familiar with the new LP is out that you need to go get, System Overload, and it's like the system has never left. But before we go to one of my favorites on the album, No Fear of Flying.
Oh yeah.
Mike, I want you to tell the people how they can get a hold of the system via Facebook, Twitter,
Oh yeah, sure. Well, first of all, you can go to our website, which is thesystemmusic.com, which is a great place to start because we have all the links to buy the music, and you can get in touch with David and myself. Our email addresses. You can join our fan club, and then you'll get some updates and some music that we're working on free. We send out. We started a newsletter this month, which was really successful, and we're just kind of gathering up the troops. We've also started a new thing that we're on while we're talking about this, is that Don't Disturb This Groove never went gold, but it was very, very close to gold. So as part of the new revamping of the system, or re-energizing what we do, we are trying to get Atlantic to give us a gold record. It'd be great if you helped us promote that. And we're on Amazon. We're on Twitter. On Amazon.com. We have physical and digital downloads of the CD. And as I said, if you go to our website, we're always posting new stuff and getting a lot of reviews and really gaining a lot of traction.
Okay, well, David and Mike, you can be sure that Legend 107 is going to continue to push your music, which we've had No Fear of Flying, System Overload, and a few other singles, Diabolical Love, in our rotation.
Yeah, man. All right. That's another great one. Yeah, man.
So we are firm supporters of you, but it's a joy for me to have you guys on tonight, knowing back in the early 80s when you guys were putting out music, especially Don't Disturb This Groove. I'm not going to say how old I am, that you guys continue to give us nothing but great music, and we can look forward to more great music from the system. Any last words before we go to No Fear of Flying?
Yeah, well, No Fear of Flying is a song that sort of is a continuation of where we left off from Don't Disturb This Groove in many ways, because we kind of always have our feet in two different musical pots. It's like the high energy of System Overload, but yet it's the soulful future soul of a song like No Fear of Flying.
Right. Okay. David Frank, Mike Murphy, thank you guys for being a guest here on The Heavy Storm. Much success and prosperity to you guys, giving us great music, and we're going to go to this hot single that I love. Here's No Fear of Flying by The System. Be sure you go to Amazon and the website, the System website, to go ahead and get those downloads. Don't bootleg it. Right here on The Heavy Storm. The best slow jam show, period.
Last night you came with me. You cured my fear of heights. Reality's illusion. When dreams are taking flight. You can't go where angels call and be afraid to fall. If we throw caution to the wind, we could have it all. Life could be ecstasy. Flying up here with me, you and me endlessly. Where there's no safety nets. Tonight I'm fearless. No parachute on my back. Yeah, there's no fear of flying. Got me feeling like an aeroplane, and I'ma be the captain. Falling feels like gliding, so there's no fear of flying. Afraid of letting go. Afraid to lose control. Take a satisfied. Life could be ecstasy, flying up here with me, you and me endlessly. But there's no safety nets. Tonight I'm fearless. No parachute on my back, yeah. And there's no fear of flying. You got me feeling like an airplane. I'll be the captain. Falling feels like gliding. So there's no fear of flying. I'm looking for the makes me feel weak. I'm looking for the knocks me off my feet. I'm looking for the sky high gliding to take away my fear of flying. I'm looking for the sweet G6. I'm looking for the mile high bliss. I'm looking for the free fall gliding. Come take away my fear of flying. And now a life would be ecstasy, flying up here with me, you and me endlessly. But there's no safety nets. Tonight I'm fearless. No parachute on my back, yeah. There's no fear of flying. You got me feeling like an airplane. Love will be the captain. Falling feels like gliding. So there's no fear of flying. There's no safety nets. Tonight I'm fearless. No parachute on my back, yeah. There's no fear of flying. You got me feeling like an airplane. Let love be the captain. Falling feels like gliding. So there's no fear of flying. I'm looking for the knocks me off my feet. I'm looking for the sky high glide to take away my fear of flying. I'm looking for the sweet G6. I'm looking for the mile high.
I'm in heaven, heaven with DJ Heavy O. This is Shaoli, and you're listening to the king of slow jams, DJ Heavy.